All right, a little bit of backstory. The first Friday of every month, I do a streamer Q&A where my community asks me questions about anything streaming. And this past Friday, I got a question of how do you deal with the streaming platforms bending you over? Now, what that really meant was, what do you do when you can't get discovered, when you're not getting pushed out like you want? I gotta say, there's a lot to this, and it is a loaded question. Get ready, because I'm gonna give you a lot of knowledge, so that way, the more you know, the more you grow. Okay, so the first thing I have to put out there, and I'm going to use Twitch as the example, because that's my primary streaming platform, but this really applies to every platform. You are competing against millions of others. And when you're competing against millions of other people, you are in an oversaturated market. And an oversaturated market is always going to be something that is incredibly hard to break through in. It's incredibly hard to be successful in because you're delivering a product that everybody else is. You know, when I take these business perspectives, like I did in this video up here, you gotta understand that there is more to it than blaming the platforms for the fact that you're not growing. So if we're looking at Twitch initially, if you look at Sully Gnome's reports that date back to 2016, it's going to show you amazing things about how much this market has blown up and made it very hard for people to actually break through with. So if you're looking back at January 2016, you were only having roughly about 20,000 channels that were active at one time. That's the average amount of channels active at any given point. But then if you look at, you know, January of 2024, that's gone up 5 times that amount to averaging 108,000 channels. When we get this thing of, you know, wanting to blame the platforms for not getting the discoverability out for everybody, if you've got millions and millions of people, how are you actually going to get that discovery pushed forward? Now, Twitch, on their part, they've done some things to try and push that forward. They've been doing content filtering to where they're removing some of the more not appropriate for everybody channels being directly seen. That actually helps a little bit. The other part is they've added the stories feature where, you know, you post something out and you can still stay connected while offline. So if somebody's looking for your channel, it'll pop up. And then they've also included featured clips, something that if you have clips that properly showcase your stream in a way that would be enticing to bring people in, then you put it on your featured clips and Twitch will try to get it out. If you're really focusing just on streaming, that's going to be an even bigger issue. Because the thing is, streaming alone can't get you the growth you need. And of course, everybody tells you to go and post things on TikTok, post things on YouTube. And yes, you can post your gaming clips and you can put them out there, but what if they don't actually make it out where you want it to go? On my TikTok channel, I typically only get to that 250 threshold and then it's done. And it's because TikTok's literally throwing it out to 250 random people. And if those 250 random people just swipe away, it's not going to get seen. The video won't get seen. I'm not going to get discovered. So you have to post to these, but yet you're having this trouble. Well, that's where you have to start doing your research into understanding how these algorithms push you out. On YouTube, where I'm putting this video, you have to understand that YouTube has a very specific way that they push out your content. So for YouTube, what they like to see is what's in your title. What's your video about? Okay, the description. Is the description matching anything in that title? So you have to have these keywords in your title and in your description, so that way the algorithm knows who it's supposed to target as the audience. Now, that's just how it would work on YouTube, but you have to do the research to be able to be seen on short form content, on long form content. And in some cases, you gotta do it with live streaming. But the problem with live streaming is that it's just a moment in time that isn't exactly saved And not always is the content going to be driving and engaging. It's a live show. It's like watching the news. You never know what's actually going to appear. It's just going to be there. Being discovered live doesn't happen with 108,000 streams on average. So if you are one of those in the 108,000, and that's just at that moment in time, you have less than a 0.001% chance of being seen. You have to understand, being discovered while you're live streaming is basically like asking yourself to get struck by lightning 10 times or winning the Powerball. You want to blame the platforms, but the platforms aren't the problem. Think of how many people that they're trying to accommodate. You've got something like 10 million people that have channels on your platform, and they're all screaming for their time in the sun. How do you even solve that? So this is where you have to realize that you have an incredibly high ceiling that you need to bust through. And you are fighting with millions of other people who are trying to hit that ceiling as well. The question then becomes, are you actually putting in the work that is necessary to make it happen? Just a couple days ago, Harris Heller put out a video that just absolutely sums so much of this up in such a wonderful way. He and his wife had to sacrifice a comfortable living for a very long time until success eventually found its way to them. And by success finding their way to them, it was not just a random lucky strike. It was, he identified a gap in the market. He identified something that hasn't been done, and he capitalized on it. You have to understand that live streaming is a fraction of what it's all about. When you are not streaming, you need to be spending time editing your content. You need to be spending time reviewing your content and improving your stream. You need to be analyzing everything you're doing. You need to be creating content for other platforms. You need to be engaging in new communities. You need to be doing so many more things than just live streaming. Because the only way you're going to actually grow and actually be able to push through that ceiling that is so damn high up, you've got to put in the work. And that's what it is. If you want to succeed, it is work. So what are some of the things you can do to actually claw your way to the top? Well, one, start researching. This is the number one thing I will always recommend to people. Research, 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 research. And what I mean by research is see what other people are doing. See what other people are saying. See what's happening in streaming. And understand what's going on in streaming so you can start going, there's where I can fit. Start researching where you fit. The second thing you need to be doing is you need to be looking at your content. You need to be looking at it in a way that you can recognize why people aren't watching or why they're staying. You need to be able to see both. And I've got a video that I'm going to be doing on that one coming soon. The third thing that I am going to tell you to do is start focusing on the stuff that gets you discovered. And I'm talking the stuff that is YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All these things have ways for you to get discovered. Find one of them. Put a lot of focus into one of them. And if you have time, get a second one. But once you start generating things with at least one of them, and you get into a good rhythm where you can keep that successful, multi-post to see which one is fitting, which one is responding more. That's going to help you identify which one you should focus on a little bit more. Because if it's YouTube that's showing a little bit better growth than maybe TikTok, maybe you should focus on YouTube. Or if you're really identifying with the TikTok community, focus there. But you've got to be making the content with those audiences in mind. Not everybody, but those particular audiences. And the reason that is because each one is different. So start with those three things. I've got more videos coming for you that are going to help you start shaping how to approach all this. How are you going to focus things? Let me know what you're thinking on this, and maybe I can provide some additional advice for you. I've got more videos coming for you. Don't worry. Make sure you're subscribed so you see the next stuff that's coming up. I've got the Twitch ad game that's coming. Trust me, that's going to be revolutionary for you. And I'm going to tell you how to set it up. It's going to be amazing. So with that, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.